Well, hello there, YouTube. What's up? It's Farid here from Lil Pop Studios, and you're watching VFX with Lil Pop Studios. Your shadow is being casted on me, so move to the side. Nabe, the former number one. Shani never knew the dish. Hello there once again, it's Farid here from Lil Pop Studios, and you're watching VFXWithReed, a series on this channel where we pick the Hollywood effects and break them down into simpler bits for you, the one at home, to be able to recreate with ease. Last week we tried creating the green Goblin grenade, which didn't really work well. That was because we were working with a handheld system and we didn't really have any stabilization in our camera, and we didn't have the machine to also run some things, so we just decided to pull that one off. So this week we decided to get an old light stand and some wrappers in order to create a tripod. That's why my footage is kind of stiff right now. So that's what we are going to be trying with today, and now let's just jump into the shots. For the shots, as I already said, we aren't really going for anything complicated. We are just going for a tripod shot of a person just moving into the frame and the bomb just drops, and we are just going to do some kind of simple explosion, which I wouldn't be talking much about in the tutorial. But if you want to know how I created my explosion, I guess then you should just leave it in the comment section and I'll be glad to attend to you. And After Effects 101 is still running. If you want to learn After Effects straight from scratch for motion graphics and VFX, look no further. Link in the description or in the cards up here. So I've already marked points for my actor to stand or to move into the frame, and it's let's just continue with the shots. Bonsa,
Hey guys, it's Teleport here. We wanna shoot another dev battle, but we got interrupted because some few ladies just fell on the ground over there. So the pop went there to help them to see what they can do. As you can see, the motor you heard. So that's how it's supposed to be. The girl, she's too, I don't know I'm gonna say, but
for the Green Goblin model, once again, I did everything straight from scratch, and this is not a modeling class again, so I'm not going to be talking much about this. I'll be leaving the link to the OBJ file in the description so you can go and copy it and do whatever you want. So with the texturing, what I just did was I looked for a rusty old metal which was kind of orange. I made it a little less reflective, and the lighting wasn't really done at this point. I had to go into my scene before I now started the lighting. I then added some green glues around it and some white glues. I also used the Green Goblin grenade, which was from the new SpiderMan No Home trailer, as a reference in order to do my modeling. And then at that point my modeling was done. It was now time to go into Adobe After Effects. First thing in After Effects was to create a new composition from my selection, and since a shadow was casted on top of my footage, I had to take it off with the content aware fill. So I just created a rough mask around my shadow, and then I went into the content aware fill tab and clicked on create reference layer, which then sent me into Adobe Photoshop. And with the clone stamp tool, I was able to create a reference frame. So back in After Effects, I then freeze frame that reference frame and then stretch it out to cover the whole of my composition. That was because my footage was a tripod shot, so I didn't have to generate another fill layer, which was going to take me much more time. But if you're doing a handheld movement, I advise that you click on generate fill layer and let After Effects generate the fill layer for you. Then again, since my footage was a tripod shot, my plane was going to be flat, so I didn't have to do any 3D tracking again. So I just went right into Cinema 4D, created a new plane and a new camera with the camera angle at 90 degrees, and then I started my animation. For my animation, I had to make it look as real as possible, so I had to import my OBJ file into the new C4D file that I've created, and then I changed the Green Goblin grenade into a rigid body and changed the plane into a collider body, so it kind of looks like it is falling down. Then I had to tweak the values and make some animation so it will look like it's falling down from somewhere and bouncing right in front of my character. So right after a lot of tweaks and experimenting, my result was getting near somewhere like this. So then I had to do a lot more of adjustments, which I can't talk about right now. But if you are the one at home, you can do some more experiments to get your values or to get your animation as perfect as possible. Then came the lighting. For the lighting, I had to match the scene, so I just went for a sky with an HDRI. But since I don't have a 360 camera, I went up to HDRI Haven and had a camera which was and had an HDRI which kind of matched my scene. So then I used it as an HDRI, and then I added a corona sun and pointed it in the direction at which my sun was facing me, so it's does not make my Green Goblin grenade look some way inside my scene. So with the help of Corona Renderer's interactive rendering, I was able to match the lighting of my scene with my Green Goblin grenade, and then when I had the perfect one, I then had to render my footage out. So with the rendering, I had to render it as a PNG sequence and with alpha channel ticked. But before that, I had to deactivate the plane, so the plane will not be visible and just the Green Goblin grenade will be. Then I had to now go and watch Cinderella. Yeah, I watched Cinderella whilst the render was doing, and the render took almost about 2 hours. So let's go and watch Cinderella and come back.
Yes! Then go, you shall! When you wake upon a star.
And then it was now time to import my footage as a PNG sequence into my composition. So right after importing it into my composition, I then made it a 3D layer and pushed it back in the Z space to make it match into my scene. Then for creating the shadow, I decided to duplicate it and rotate it on the Y-axis, I think, make it lie down on the floor, and I now added an effect called the fill and changed the fill layer to black. Then now added the Gaussian blur and reduced the opacity a bit. So now I had to create keyframes for position since my ball was rolling aimlessly. My shadow was also my shadow was rolling aimlessly, so I had to correct that by creating keyframes for position and following it at least 6 frames by 6 frames, so my shadow wouldn't really go hocus pocus. Now it was time for the color grading and the color margin, and for this I made use of these effects: the photo filter, brightness and contrast, curves effect. And for the Green Goblin grenade, just only it, since it's a CG image, it does not have to look that perfect in order to be real. So I decided to add some noise and some Gaussian blur to give it the feel of some imperfection and make it fit into the scene. Then with the help of an adjustment layer, I was able to add a curves effect and some contrast to match or to tie the whole scene together like they are married. One other thing, I had to add the CC Force motion blur to my Green Goblin layer or my Green Goblin grenade to make it to fix some kind of motion blur, since we do not have money to buy a real motion blur faker. Oh, that's so sad. But After Effects has made it easy for us with the CC Force motion the CC Force vector motion blur, or how do we even call it. So that was what I used to fake my motion blur, and that was it, guys. I was able to create the Green Goblin grenade, and I just had to add an explosion to it, which I'm not going to be telling you guys how to make it. If you want to know how to make it, just leave a comment in the comment section and I'll be glad to show you how I did it in depth, step by step. And then it was now time to send it to Premiere Pro, do some color grading, do some scene cutting, and then I ended up with something like this. But before you guys see it, I'm going to urge you that if you haven't subscribed, do that now and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post exciting content like these. And bye bye. Let's watch the video.
Oh boy.
And we're done with this effect. That took us about 75,000 to create. Welcome to Tamale, where everybody wants to see whatever you are doing. I have some spectators at this side and so many other things. But you guys can follow me on Instagram at Leopard Studios. You can support me on Patreon via the links down here again. Follow me on Facebook at Leopard Studios again. And After Effects 101 is still ongoing, but say move this way. After Effects 101 is still ongoing. You can still join the class if you want to learn After Effects from scratch for motion graphics and VFX. And till next week, get some creative ideas and keep it real. Peace out.